Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by, and for my returning subscribers, thank you for always coming back to this channel. Today's video is on how to make a full-scale basic bodice. This bodice is something you could end up using to make your tops, your blouses, your blazers, and other designs that require a full-scale basic bodice. So if this is what interests you, ensure to stay to the end so you can follow the step-by-step process in making this full-scale basic bodice. We'll be using this full-scale basic bodice in most projects we'll be carrying out on this channel, so ensure to learn and draft yours. So from the center front, I will come in by 7.5 inches for the shoulder width. The shoulder is 15 inches. 15 divided by 2 gives me 7.5 inches. So the shoulder is divided by 2. So I divided mine by 2 and I marked the 7.5 inches there. And for the shoulder slant, I will go down by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slant. So I'll go down by 1.5 inches, and over to the armhole area. For the armhole area, I'll divide the bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5 inches, which gave me 7.5 inches, and I marked down 7.5 inches there. I'm just trying to make it in a straight line, just marking down my shoulder there and trying to make it in a straight line. So I will make the line there. The bust measurement I worked with is 36 inches. That's 36 divided by 6 gave me 6 plus 1.5 inches. That's 7.5. And that helped me to get my armhole measurement. For the neckline, I'll go by 3 inches in width and 3 inches also in length. So I'll slant the shoulder just this way, and I'll go by 3 inches in length for the neck area. That's the depth is 3 inches and the width is 3 inches as well. So I'm just curving it this way. And after this right now, I will go over to get my vertical measurement. And vertical measurement for this, I will mark the bust point first. So for the bust point for this particular measurement I'm using is 10.5, and I'll mark down 10.5 at that area, and also just make it in a straight line. I'll go over to the other side to mark the 10.5, and I will also mark the waistline. The waistline worked with is 17 inches, so I'll mark the waistline there, 17 inches, just from your shoulder to your waistline, the sharp edge of your waist. That's where I got this measurement. So I'll mark it and make it in a straight line as well. So after this, I'll mark the hip. That's the full length for this basic bodice. So I'll mark the hip, which is 25 inches. You can decide to measure from your waistline to your hip, which is 8 inches, 9 inches, depending on your length. So this is what I marked down, and I'm going to make it now in a straight line, just the way I am doing right now. After this, I went ahead to get my chest line, and to get the chest line now is just where the armhole measurement stopped. That place becomes our chest line. So I'm just making it in a straight line before drawing down the line. So after this, I need to draw out my darts. So to draw out these darts, I measure nipple to nipple point, which is 8 inches. I divided it by 2, which gave 4 inches. So I mark down the 4 inches and make it in a straight line. So after this, I'll go over to the waistline, and I'm going to mark ½ inches on both sides of this dart line. So I'll mark ½ inches on both sides. I'll mark ½ inches on this other center front area and the side front area. And from the bust point, I'll come down by 1 inches, just the way I'm doing now. And for the hip, I'll go up from the hip by 2 inches. I went up from the hip by 2 inches, and I'm going to label it so that we won't get confused at this point. So this is the bust line, and this is the waistline, and this is the hip line, and that becomes the chest line for this pattern. So I'll go ahead to connect it just this way. So remember, we just finished imputing our vertical measurement and we've drawn our dart. So we have to impute our horizontal measurement at this point. So for the horizontal measurement, the bust divided by 4, which is 36 divided by 4, which is 9 inches. I mark that 9 inches on the chest line, and to the waistline, 32 divided by 4, which is 8 inches, plus 1 inch for the dart which we already imputed around our waist, so that when we join our dart, it won't affect our measurement. We'll add extra 1 inch, which gave me 9. So for the hip area, the round hip is 40 inches. So 40 divided by 4 will give me 10 inches, which I just marked down there. So after getting these our horizontal measurements, I'll go ahead to connect it from the waist to the bust area, and I'll bring in my hip curve and connect from the waistline to the hip line as well. After doing this, we have to get our armhole curve, and to get this armhole curve, we can come up by 3 inches, 3.5 inches, or we can decide to divide the armhole line by 2, but I decided to go with 3.5 inches, and I marked it there. And from that 3.5 inches I just marked now, I will come in by 0.5 inches or 0.75 inches, and I'm just going to connect it from that 0.5 inch I marked now to the armhole tip, and I'm going to just connect it to the armhole tip. And I'm also going to use my armhole curve. You can use your freehand sketch to do this if you don't have your curves. So I'll use my armhole curve and just curve it just the way I am doing now. So after doing this, we are done with our front pattern, and over to the back pattern. I'm just going to fold the paper into 2, like fold it into 2. And at this point, after folding it, you can decide to use your tracing wheel and trace out the front to the back, because it was just almost the same thing. But for tutorial purpose and for beginner friendly, I'm just going to repeat everything for the back measurements. So, and I will flip it over to the back, and this is the plain pattern we have right now. So I'm just going to measure out the shoulder measurement, and the shoulder measurement we worked with is 7.5 inches. That's 15 inches for full shoulder measurement. And I'm just going to slant the shoulder also by 1.5 inches that we did for the front. And to the neckline, I'm coming in by 3 inches, and I will come in for the width, for the depth, by 1 inches. 1 inch. So after this, now I'm just going to connect it, slant my shoulder, and also make my neckline curve. And to the armhole area, I will just go down by 7.5 inches and make it in a straight line, and I'm going to connect it this way. So I'll get my chest line, and that becomes the chest line. And after this, I'll just draw down our vertical measurements. I'll get the waistline. The back has no bust, so there won't be any bust line. So I'll get the waistline, which is 17 inches. So I'll mark down 17 inches at that point. And I'll also mark down 17 inches here just to make it in a straight form. And I'll mark the hip, which is 25 inches. So I'm just going to straighten this up just this way. So for the back dart, I'll use the same measurement we did for the front, which is 4 inches, and I'll mark down 4 inches there, and I'll make it in a straight line just the way I'm doing right now. So for this back darts, since there is no bust line, from the chest line I'll come down by 1 inches, and from the hip line I'll go up by 2 inches, and around the waist I will come in by ½ inch on the center back and ½ inch on the side back, and I'm going to connect it this way. So after making this connection now for the darts, I'll go over to impute our horizontal measurements, just the same thing we did for the front, and I'll connect it just the way I am doing right now. I'll repeat the same thing for the back around the armhole area, and I'm just going to connect it basically what we did for the front around the armhole area. And this is it after I've finished connecting it, and this is just it for the back pattern and the front pattern. So at this point now, I'm just going to label the back pattern so that we won't get confused about this as well. So I'm just going to go ahead now to label it. So while I was done labeling it, we have to slant our center back. You know, the human body is not totally straight at the back. It's a bit curvy around the waist area and towards the hip. So now to do this, I will just come in from the waistline by ½ inches. You can go in by 0.75 inches as well. So I went in by ½ inches, and I'm just going to mark ½ inches at that waistline. And for the hip line, I will come up from the hip by 2 inches as well, and from the upper side I will come down by 6 inches from the neckline that I just marked. So I'm just going to join it or connect it this way. So after doing this is just everything we worked on, and we're just going to cut out that part. It's not going to affect the waist measurement for the back. I know some of you will be wondering if it will affect it. So it's time for us to cut. So I'll go ahead now to cut everything, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So while we were done cutting it, this is everything that we worked on, and this is how beautiful it looks. And this is the front and the back pattern. I'll just label it. This is the front pattern, and this is just the back pattern for this project. So this is everything we worked on. I just love this pattern. It's looking all beautiful and very much well explained. So if this is what you enjoy watching, ensure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. This helps the video to get to more people that needs it. And up to next time, see you guys. Ensure to draft yours and keep it aside, because we're going to use this pattern to do most of the projects on this channel. So in our next video, we'll just learn how to cut a cowl neckline using this pattern. So don't forget to click notification bell so that you don't miss out on my next video. See you all. Bye.